Good morning, everyone. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us start today's session. We left out with one problem, uh, which is new of its kind. Uh, Let us solve this problem in today's session. I read once again. A stepped shaft is as shown in figure below. We have to determine the stresses and deflection in each of the section. We have to assume uniform material for the complete shaft having a modulus of elasticity as 200 gigapascal and axial force F as 35 kilonewton. So as I mentioned in my previous session, that here this shaft is fixed at both the ends. That means at node 1 and at node 4 we are having no displacement. So we know something more than the previous problem that we have solved. That means we know more about the boundary conditions, and it will make our problem solution more simple, because it's obvious that once you know something more about some system or some object, or what we can say, any entity, it will be easy for you to describe that entity or to analyze that entity or that particular system. So let us start solving this problem. They have given with, as usual, the cross-sectional area, lengths, and uh, forces, and along with the modulus of elasticities. I have drawn the finite element model. Now you are familiar with this. We are having four nodes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and instead of applying force at end node, they have applied at node number 3, having magnitude 35 kilonewton. So let us start this problem. Uh, our first step is to write the element connectivity table. Rather, the first step is your finite element model, which I have already drawn for you. So we'll first now write the element connectivity table. I suggest you to please pay attention whatever the problems I am solving, because surely you will get such kind of problem in your exam. Also, you are supposed to solve such problems with the help of some softwares in your practical exam also. So you must be clear about the idea and the concepts of how to solve the finite element analysis problem. So I write the element connectivity table. First column is your element, that is E, we denote it as. Then we are having node numbers. Node numbers. This is 1 and 2, which is having local degree of freedom. And then we have element number 1, element number 2, and element number 3. So for this, the node numbers are 1, 2, 2, 3, and 3, 4. So these numbers represents the your global degree of freedom. Okay. Again, I am reiterating, this element connectivity table is useful to construct your global stiffness matrix. This is very useful to create your global stiffness matrix. If you don't draw this table and the number of elements are more, then there might chances that you will get confused in writing your global stiffness matrix. Now next step is to write the element stiffness matrices. Element stiffness matrices. So for element number 1, E1, I can write it as A1 E1 upon L1. So few things I am writing directly now. You are very much familiar with the concepts and the terminologies. So upon L is 400. It comes out to be 2 into 10 raised to power 5 Newton per millimeter. So A1 E1. Okay. Further, we'll write it in the form of element stiffness matrix. So for element number 1, it is K1 we can write as 10 raised to 5 we took as common, and we write 2 minus 2 minus 2 2. Again, you can always take out some term, the higher order term as common, so that your matrix elements looks simple. Then I'll write 1, 2 over here and 1, 2 over here, which is your global degrees of freedom. Okay. Now, similarly for element number 2, I can write A2 E2 upon L2, which is equal to 300 into 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by its length 400, which comes out to be again 1 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per millimeter. So obvious now we are taking this 10 to the power 5 as common term, and we'll be writing 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. And now you can guess we will be writing 2 3 and 2 3, which are your global degrees of freedom. Similarly, for element number 3, it is A3 E3 by L3, which is equal to 200 into 200 10 to the power upon length of the element is 400, which is equal to, comes out to be 1 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per millimeter. And similarly, we get K3 as 10 to the power 5 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Here I am writing 3 4 and 3 4 as your global degrees of freedom. Okay, so this is how we have formulated our element stiffness matrices K1, K2 and K3. So this is again important step. Next step is to find or formulate the global stiffness matrix. Formulate the global stiffness matrix. Now, before formulating, the very obvious step is we must know the size of the global stiffness matrix. Size of the global stiffness matrix, which is given by number of nodes in the system into degrees of freedom per node. Okay, so you have to pay attention to this. Now here the number of nodes are 4 and the degree of freedom per node is 1. Okay, since this is a one dimensional problem, that's why the size of the matrix would be 4 by 4. Okay, so this is the important step you need to understand. Now, global stiffness matrix, I'll write it as K, and I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can guess these are the global degrees of freedom, which will helpful for us to write the global stiffness matrix. I will write directly the global stiffness matrix as 2 minus 2 0 0 minus 2 2 plus 1.5. So I made a mistake in writing the matrix 2. So it should be 1.5, 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5. K2 I made a mistake. Pardon me for that. Then minus 1.5, 0, 0 minus 1.5, then 1.5 plus 1 minus 1, 0, 0 minus 1 and plus 1. Now I'll concentrate on these terms, additional terms. Rest of the things are straightforward. So this term is 2 second column, second row. So first two I get from the second element stiffness matrix, second column, second row, this 1.5, and this second column and second row. So this 2 and this 1.5. So here I can write 2 and 1.5. Then I have third column and third row. So I have to check in all the three element stiffness matrices about the three, third row, third column, third column, third row. So this is third column, third row, which is 1.5, and in K3 matrix, third column, third row, it is 1. So thereby it is 1.5 and 1. So while writing your global stiffness matrix, you should be very careful. You have I suggest you to once again cross check whatever you are writing uh, in terms of your rows and columns. Okay, so this is a global stiffness matrix. Now writing the equation in the form of force, forces, deflection and stiffness. Writing the equations in the form of forces, deflection and stiffness, in that too in global terms. In global terms, I have this equation KQ equal to F, which is K is your global stiffness matrix, Q is your displacement vector, and F is your force vector. Writing the equations in global form, I'll write it as 10 to the power 5. Don't forget to write this because we took it as common, but it is a part of your global stiffness matrix. 2 minus 2, 0, 0, minus 2, 3.5, which is addition of 2 and 1.5, minus 1.5, 0, 0, minus 1.5, 2.5, and minus 1, 0, 0, minus 1, 1. This is your global stiffness matrix. Then we write displacement vector q1, q2, q3 and q4, which is equal to your force vector in global terms as f1, f2, f3 and f4. In some literature, this q is referred as u, for displacement, but only the conventions are changed. Rest of the concepts remain same. So this is your equation KQ is equal to F in global terms. Now applying boundary conditions. This is important part of this problem. Boundary conditions. Boundary conditions means the information which is known to us. Here we know that at node 1 and at node 4 the displacements are 0. At node 1 and at node 4 the displacements are 0 because your uh, ends are fixed as given in the problem. These ends are fixed, so that's why the displacements are 0. Now external external nodal forces, that means the particular part of the equation, particular part of the system, external nodal forces that are F1, F2 and F4. Force at node number 1, force at node number 2 and force at node number 4 are 0. This word is important. External nodal forces are 0 at node number 1, 2 and 4. And at node number 3, the force is applied having magnitude 35 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. So these are the boundary conditions. At node 1 and 4, displacement are 0 since they are fixed. External nodal forces at node 1, 2 and 4 are 0, and at 3 it is 35 into 10 to the power 3. Okay. So writing the forces into this equation, and first we eliminate the respective rows. Now pay attention. Since Q1 and Q4 and Q4 are 0, that's why we are eliminating this Q1 and Q4. Okay. Since the displacement are 0 at node number 1 and at node number 4, so we'll be deleting first row, first column since it is at node number 1, and we'll be deleting fourth row, fourth column and fourth row, since at node number 4 also the displacement is restricted. Okay, so this is by elimination approach. Once again, Q1 and Q4 displacement 0 at node number 1 and 4. That's why straight away deleting these rows, these elements Q1, F1, Q4, F4. And since the displacement is restricted at node number 1, thereby deleting row 1, column 1. And it is also restricted, displacement also restricted at node number 4, thereby deleting fourth column and fourth row. So our equation reduces to 10 to the power 5 into 3.5 minus 1.5 minus 1.5, 2.5. Here we are only Q2 and Q3, and we are having F2 which is 0 and F3 as 35 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. Okay, so look at these equations. Now in the previous problems where the one end is fixed, at that time, if there are three elements, we will be getting the reduced matrix as 3 by 3. So we have to solve three simultaneous equations, three equations and three unknowns. But here, since two ends are fixed, we know something more about the system under consideration. Our equation reduces to 2 by 2, two equations and two unknowns, which is simpler than the previous one. Okay, so that is why I was telling you that the more you know about the system, the more it will be easy for you to solve the problem. So here we will be getting only 2 by 2 matrix instead of 3 by 3 matrix. Okay, so let us solving these equations. Now I'll not go into detail of solving. I'll straight away write the answers, because you can solve these equations simultaneously or you can solve by using calculators. It is very easy. So solving it, I'll get Q2. After solving the equation, I get Q2 is equal to 0.8077 millimeter and Q3 as 0.1885 millimeters. You can always cross check this answer by solving the equations. Okay, so Q2 and Q3 are we got Q1 and Q4 are 0. So this is our first answer, displacement because of the applied load. Now to determine the reaction forces, again new thing over here, to determine the reaction forces. Now reaction forces, if you look at the diagram, the reaction forces will be getting at node number 1 and node number 4. So this is your problem. So since these node number 1 and node number 4 are fixed, we'll be getting the reaction forces at these two nodes. So for that, we'll be writing the equation reaction force is equal to R is equal to KQ minus F. R, since reaction forces are at node R1 and R4 into 10 to the power 5. So we'll be writing the rows for R1 and R4 only. 2 minus 2, 0, 0 and 0, 0 minus 1, 1. These are the two rows only we are writing from the global stiffness matrix. So this is our global stiffness matrix. This correspond for node number 1. This correspond for node number 4. So 2 minus 2, 0, 0, 0, 0 minus 1 and 1. These are the only terms we are writing because we are getting the reactions forces only at node number 1 and node number 4. Into displacements as 0.8077 and 0.1885. This is your displacement vector into your force vector, minus force are 0, 0. Okay, so at 1 and 4, the external forces are 0. So R1 coming out to be minus 2 into 10 to the power 5 into 0.08077, which is your minus 16154 Newton. This is first reaction force, and at R4 we will be getting minus 1 into 10 to the power 5 into 0.1885, which is equal to minus 18850 Newton. Okay, so R1 and R4 are the reaction forces. These are our answer. So we found out displacements and we found out the reaction forces. Now the last portion of this problem is to find out the stresses, to determine the stresses. To determine the stresses. Okay, so for stresses for element number 1, I can write sigma 1 as E1, B1, Q1, Q2. Now I need not to explain. This B1 is 1 upon L1 in matrix form -1 and 1. So writing in that form, 200 into 10 to the power 3 into B as 1 upon length of first element, that is 400 minus 1, 1, and Q1 is 0, Q2 is, we already found out as 0.08077. Solving this, we get sigma 1 as 53.865 Newton per millimeter square. This is your first answer. For element number,
sigma 1 you're getting 40.385.
how much?
40.385.
Okay, just check, is 40.385.
385.
Okay, so you'll be getting, it is sigma 1 as 40.385. Yeah, 53 is for element number 2. So for element number 2, sigma 2 is equal to E2, B2, and we can write over here as Q2 and Q3. Okay, so E term remain as it is, 1 upon 400. Please check this, 1 upon 400. The length of the second, all the elements are 400. So it's fine. And Q2 as 0.08077 and Q3 as 0.1885. So now I think this is coming out to be 53.865. Yeah. So this is your sigma 2, and sigma 3 will be E3 B3 bracket Q3 and Q4. So it is again 200 into 10 to the power 3 into 1 by 400 minus 1, 1. Q3 is 0.1885 and Q4 is 0. So it is coming out to be minus 94.25 Newton per millimeter square. So this is new thing for us. This we can say that this is as a compressive strength, compressive stress. Okay, so this is how you can solve your problems. There are variety of things that can be asked in these cases. Okay, so this is one of the important problems. Let us solve one more problem again with some changes. A rectangular section steel bar is suspended vertically from the top edge. So it is suspended vertically from the top edge. It is not horizontal, it is now vertical. First 4-meter length of the bar is 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter in cross section. First 4-meter length is 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter, while the lower 1 meter is 50 millimeter by 50 millimeter in cross section. The axis of two cross sections being coincident. That means the axis passing through both of these sections are the same. They are coinciding with each other. Model this as two linear elements and find the assembled stiffness matrix. Assembled stiffness matrix means assembled global stiffness matrix, or assembled stiffness matrix means simply global stiffness matrix. Evaluate the extension of the bar under self weight. So here they haven't given us any weight, external weight applied. So we have to play with only homogeneous part of the system. okay, which I have explained in our first session of introduction. In every numerical method, numerical solution, there are two parts for the solution. First is homogeneous part, which occurs because of the natural behavior of the system, and second one is particular part, which is happening because of the external disturbances applied. So here no external disturbance is applied. So we have to deal with only the homogeneous part. We have to do extension, evaluate the extension of the bar under self weight. Assume E is equal to 2.1 into 10 to the 5 power 5 megapascal. Specific gravity of the steel is given as 8. And also we have to determine the reaction forces and stresses developed. So I have modeled this. So this is how your system is looking like. The bar vertically suspended. For first 4,000 meter, the cross section is 10,000 millimeter square. For next lower 1,000 millimeter, the cross section is 50 by 50, 2,500 millimeter square. There is self weight applied, so that's why forces are applied at three nodes, because these forces are for the because of the self weight, and because of the self weight the bar is suspended vertically downwards. Specific gravity and the self weight of the bar will be observing the displacement at each node, that is q1, q2 and q3 respectively. So this is the data given to us. Let us solve this problem. So first step, now I need not to tell you that your element connectivity table. First, we'll write something about the body force, which is again we can calculate body force per unit volume. Per unit volume is that is rho is equal to 0.8 into 1000. 0.8 is a specific gravity of the steel, so 8000 kg per cubic meter, which is, you can write 8 into 10 raised to power minus 6 kg per cubic millimeter. So this thing will be making use of it while deriving the forces. Now we'll write the element connectivity table. Element connectivity table. Here I write element, that is E, and then I have node numbers. So I'll write 1 and 2 as local degrees of freedom, and I'm having only two elements, 1 and 2, so that's why I can write 1, 2 and 2, 3, having global degrees of freedom. Okay. So this is your element connectivity table. Now for element number 1, I can write A1 E1 upon L1, which is equal to, area is 10,000 square millimeter, E value is 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 4,000 millimeter is the length, which is coming out to be 525 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per millimeter. Okay. Writing it in the element form, element stiffness matrix form, K1 as 10 to the power 3 in bracket 525 minus 525 minus 525 and plus 525. Here I will be writing 1212, which is my global degrees of freedom. Now for element 2, I'll quickly write the matrix directly as K2 10 to the power 3 in bracket 525 minus 525 minus 525 and 525. So here I write 2, 3 and 2, 3, which are my global degrees of freedom. Okay. Now, next step is global stiffness matrix, which is one of the answer for this problem. Global stiffness matrix. Size will be number of nodes, total number of nodes 3 into degree of freedom per node 1. So the size will be 3 by 3. So I'll write the global stiffness matrix as K is equal to 10 raised to 3 in bracket 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. So it is 525 minus 525, 0 minus 525. Here I will be getting two terms, 525 plus 525 and minus 525. Uh, Sorry to interrupt. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, connection was lost. So we have formulated this global stiffness matrix, and now the next obvious step will be KQ is equal to F, but we cannot directly straight away find the KQ and F because the body force creates the element body force at on the nodes, and we have to consider this force per node as half of the total element body force. Okay, so what we have to consider over here, your body force your body force creates an element creates an element body force element body force on nodes, creates an element body force on nodes, and this force will be considering half of the total elemental body force. We will be considering half of total elemental body force. Okay, so this is new thing for us since we are dealing with our homogeneous part. So Fe, by this information we can write elemental body force as AE, cross sectional area, length of the element, rho E, which we have formulated, body force per unit volume, which is half of 1 and 1 at the particular node. Okay, so we can write for element number 1 the body force as cross sectional area to be 10,000 millimeter square into length as 4,000 millimeter into this body force per unit volume, that is rho value, we have calculated as 8 into 10 raised to minus 6 divided by 2, and this is for node number 1 and 2 in global degrees of freedom. Okay, so we can write over here at 1 1, and this force is coming out to be 160 and 160. So what we have to consider at node number 1, 160 force, and node number 2 there is 160 force. F2, similarly we can find it as cross sectional area 2500, length 1000, then body force per unit volume remains same, which is half of the total element body force, and 1 1. This is now for node number 2 and 3. So these are the in the global degrees of freedom. So this is new part in the problem. Since the external force is not given, we have to consider the body force of the element that is created, and element body force on the nodes because of the self weight, and for that we need the specific gravity of the material that we are using, and based on the specific gravity we can calculate the body force per unit volume, and thereby we can calculate the forces acting on the nodes. So on node number 1, 160 to 160, and at F2 if we calculate this, F2 it is coming out to be 10 and 10. So at node number 2 and 3 in global part we can write this as. Now we'll be writing the force term, global force term. These are the elemental force term. We'll be writing global force term. So for node number 1, if we check, there is only one term associated, 160. So we write as straight away 160. For node number 2, we are having two terms, that is 160, this one, and this 10 for the second one. So we'll be adding this 160 plus 10. It is exactly similar that we have created the global stiffness matrix. And for 3, we are having only single term of 10. Okay. So this force vector can be written as 160, 170, and 10 for node number 1, 2, and 3 respectively in global terms. So this is your global force vector. Now you can write the equation KQ is equal to F. Writing the global stiffness matrix, 525 minus 525, 0 minus 525, 1050 minus 525, 0 minus 525, 525, Q1, Q2, Q3, 3 displacements, and forces as F1, F2, and F3 at node number 1, 2, and 3. Now boundary condition for this problem is Q1 is equal to 0. It cannot, node number 1 cannot move because it is fixed vertically. F1 we consider at 160 Newton. F2 we are considering as 170 Newton, and F3 we are considering as 10 Newton. This is because we are considering the homogeneous part of the system. No external forces are applied. That's why we have to consider the homogeneous part of the system, the internal forces which are applied on the system. So further we can solve it as writing this in equation. We can apply the boundary condition. So since Q1 is fixed, so this we can cancelled out, and first row and first column. So we are having two equations and two unknowns, Q2 and Q3, F2, F3, we know the values. After solving this for Q2 and Q3, solving for Q2 and Q3, we'll get Q2 as 0.343 into 10 to the power minus 3 millimeter, which is very small displacement, and Q3 as 0.362 into 10 to the power minus 3 millimeter. So these are the displacements that we are getting. Now reaction forces R is equal to KQ minus F. So R1 we are getting only one reaction force at R1. So R1 is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 y, sorry, 525 minus 525 0. Displacement will write 0.343 into 10 raised to power minus 3 and 0.362 into 10 to the power minus 3 minus forces at node number 1 is 160. So reaction force R1 is coming out to be minus 340 Newton. This is our reaction force. And the last part of this problem is to stresses, determine the stresses, which is now we are familiar to determine the stresses. We can write directly, I can write for sigma 1, it is E1, B1, Q1, Q2. Now I don't write the values, I'll simply write the answer. You can always try it at your own. 0.018 Newton per square millimeter, and for element 2, which is E2, B2, Q2, Q3, it's coming out to be 3.99 into 10 raised to power minus 3 Newton per millimeter square. So these are your answer. So these are the two types of different types of problem we have solved in today's session. In next session, we'll be further solving few more problems having some variations, but the concepts remain same. But there are few variation with the given model. So that's all from my side for today's session. You can put your attendance in chat box and you can log off the session. Thank you.